further ado, I'd be happy to introduce our guest. So I'm gonna probably mess up your name, even though the last pronunciation I did
Teresi?
practice.
Yeah,
I practiced earlier, and you had it phonetically spelled, so I was like, "Oh no, I'll get this."
no problem.
Teresi. All right, Jeff Teresi. He grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and moved to California with his family just over a year ago. After graduating from the prestigious Carlson School of Management, Jeff became an author, speaker, and Hall of Fame business achiever. His passion is creating creative content. His purpose is to love and be loved. And his mission is helping people break through to their next big breakthrough. Today, his talk also happens to be the title of his latest book, The 7 Key Abilities, How to Succeed 7 Days a Week. Let's give Jeff a warm welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Well, I always like to start my talk the same way I start my day. And so I want everyone to get up out of their seat and stand on their feet. I know this is a little bit risky being that it's Zoom and all, so hopefully we're all wearing pants tonight. And what I'm going to do, see, I am of the firm belief that music and dancing are magical because they can immediately and immensely modify our mood. And so for the next 60 seconds or so, while the music's going, we're just going to move our bodies. And I usually have to lay a couple ground rules down, especially when we're in person. And so number one, don't touch anyone else. I don't think we'll have any problem with that today. And number two, don't judge anyone else. Part of being confident is recognizing you have nothing to worry about, including what other people think about you. And so right now, while the music's going, let's just move our bodies. We can start with a little swaying action. We got a couple dancers here. You can do a little Carlton. And if you want, if you're more into working out, you can do some jumping jacks, or you can do some stairs. There we go, ladies. Get moving. Little switch up and 10 more seconds. Just let it all out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Well done, everyone. Go ahead and give yourself a high five and take a seat. Whew, that's a great way to start the evening. Now, I also like to start my talks the same way, well, I should say by asking you 3 rhetorical questions. Have you ever felt down on your luck? Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever just wanted to yell, forget this? See, here's the problem. We'd all like to achieve more, hopefully give more, and just enjoy life more. But something is holding us back, and you can't quite pinpoint what it is. It's as if you've run into a wall or hit a ceiling. No matter what you do, you can't seem to break through. Well, it's time to break through. That's why I wrote a book, and that's why I'm here today to help each of you break through to your next big breakthrough. And there happen to be 7 key abilities that will enable you to do just that. And today I have just enough time to introduce you to 2 of those 7 key abilities. Now, being that we are a bunch of Rotarians here, I know I could learn a whole lot more from all of you than you could learn from me. But I do believe we can all learn something from everyone. And I want to encourage you to view our time today in the same way. I want to challenge you to pull out at least one thing from this talk you can immediately apply to your life and add value to the lives of those around you. Now, if at times it seems like I'm talking a little bit fast, that's because I am. And I can only cover a snippet of a sample of each section. We'll have fun, get a lot done in a short amount of time. Is that a good speed for everyone? Yeah, too fast, don't worry. I won't talk that fast, but it's true. I can only cover a snippet of a sample from each section. So please pay close attention. And I know you're gonna want a couple big takeaways from tonight. And so I just asked you to do 2 things. Number 1, be prepared to participate. It'll be a whole lot more fun if you do. So if at any time I ask you to unmute yourselves, go ahead and unmute yourselves and then participate. And then immediately afterward, you can go ahead and put yourselves back on mute so we don't have any unintentional interruptions. And number 2, be open to taking notes, whether it's with a pen and paper, your laptop, your phone, anything you hear today, you want to apply to your life and possibly share with someone you love. Because that way you'll have something to refer back to rather than having to try and rely on mere memory. And so let's just do a quick practice participation. Go ahead and take yourselves off mute. I'm going to ask a simple yes or yes question. When I go like this, let's all shout out our answers together. Are you ready for a breakthrough?
Yes.
Yes.
A little more energy this time. Are you ready for a breakthrough?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'm so glad we're on the same page. Now keep yourselves off mute because I'm going to ask another participation question. Can anyone here tell me the number 1 most attractive trait a person can have? And I'll give you a clue. It's not a body part. Most attractive trait.
Humor.
Listening.
Humor, listening. I heard you on that one.
Confidence.
Confidence. I love it.
Mhm.
Did I miss anyone else?
Integrity.
Humor, integrity. Those are all amazing guesses. You can go ahead and put yourselves back on mute.
We miss Ruben dancing.
Ah, Ruben.
Yes. Yes.
You missed it, Ruben. We did an amazing dance workout.
Oh, that's right.
Rules breakdancing. You totally missed it.
But welcome to our group.
I'm sorry I missed that.
No problem. I'm glad that you're here now. And so I did ask if you could just put yourselves on mute now as we go into the talk. So the number 1 most attractive trait a person can have is gratitude. That's right. Besides being the healthiest human emotion, gratitude is also the most attractive trait, which means people gravitate towards grateful people. So when it comes to sales or marketing or leadership or being a parent or just being a human, if you want to be great, begin by being grateful, which leads to the first key ability. It's the ability to cultivate a thankful heart. I call it thankability. See, when it comes to true transformation, where to start is the heart. Now, I'm not proud to say this, but I was not always a grateful person. In fact, my first memory of ever truly feeling grateful wasn't until I was 15. See, at the time, my 2 brothers and I could no longer live with our parents. My dad had to choose between us and his drug addictions. He chose his drug addictions. My mom had to choose between us and her boyfriend. She chose her boyfriend. But my grandparents, I remember them welcoming us into their home with open arms. And I remember feeling so grateful because I knew they didn't have to let us live with them, but they did anyway. They chose us, and for the first time, I chose gratitude. Now, the sad truth is most people don't choose gratitude. And why is that? I believe it's because they're never taught that they could or how and why they should. See, growing up, we learn by example, and gratitude is something that's rarely seen. Instead, what's most often shown is fear, discontent, and entitlement. And so it makes sense that we worry, we complain, and we appreciate almost nothing. And so here's the key to cultivating a thankful heart. We have to recognize that gratitude is a choice. Let's go ahead and put ourselves back off of mute. Everyone unmute yourselves. Gratitude is a choice. Let's all say that together. Gratitude is a choice. Awesome. Go ahead and put yourselves back on mute. I just want to hear all of your beautiful voices. Gratitude is a choice. Choose it often enough, and you begin to experience some of its many benefits. For example, did you know that gratitude dissolves discontent? It extinguishes entitlement, and it furnishes freedom from fear. And so what does it look like to walk this out, to actively choose gratitude on a moment-by-moment basis? Well, taking into account the past, the future, and the present, I'm going to share with you 3 very practical ways you can choose gratitude at any given moment. And to make it easy to remember, we're going to use an acronym I created, R, A-R-E. Because at any given moment, you either are grateful or you're not. So A stands for appreciate, R stands for receive, and E stands for embrace. So when looking at the past, gratitude appreciates what it's been given. It recognizes, I've been given many gifts. When looking at the future, gratitude thankfully receives what is to come, both the good and the bad. It recognizes trials and tribulations are both temporary and teachable moments. And when looking at the present, gratitude embraces the now. It recognizes this moment is a gift. This moment is a gift. And one of the absolute best ways to embrace the now is to consciously appreciate each of your senses. When's the last time you did that? That you consciously appreciated each of your senses? And how differently do you think your day would go if you did it more often? I've actually written a poem designed to hopefully help us in that. And so for just a moment, if you're able to, I'd like us all to just close our eyes so we can relax and just listen to the words. I'll let you know when you can open them again. The poem's titled, Coming to Your Senses. Have you ever really wondered how fortunate you are? Have you ever thought your blessings could outnumber the stars? First, imagine if you suddenly lost your sense of sight. Would you miss seeing the differences between day and night? Now imagine if you lost the ability to hear. As silence whispers in both ears, could you still persevere? Now imagine if you suddenly lost your sense of smell. Could you bid the sweet scents of flowers and fresh air farewell? Now imagine if you lost the ability to taste. What joy could come from eating if all flavors were erased? Now imagine if you suddenly lost your sense of touch. Does just the thought of such a loss make you feel very much? While each sense is sensational, there's only one you need. It's the sense to give thanks, the sense from which all gifts proceed. You can open your eyes. Open your eyes and begin to recognize that each of your senses is a reminder of the countless gifts you can be grateful for if you choose to. And to truly connect and grasp this concept, I'd like us all to now stick out our hands and look at each of your palms. And on each of your palms, I want you to imagine there's a list. Let's say the list on your left hand is everything you could complain about. Maybe it's too rainy outside. You can't find your lucky pair of underwear. You're not getting along with someone. Everything you could complain about. List on your right hand is everything you could give thanks for. You have clean water to drink, more than enough food to eat, more than one pair of underwear. You have a family that loves you. Everything you could give thanks for. Now, if you had enough time on your hands, each of these lists could be endless. You can go and put your hands down. I want us to recognize that at any given moment, you have a choice. You can focus on the things to complain about, or you can focus on the things to give thanks for. And it's completely up to you. And I never want to disregard or invalidate the list on the left hand because those things are real. But the list on the right hand is just as real. And so next time you feel like you got a raw deal, before you complain, I want you to stick out your hands and ask yourself, which hand am I focusing on? And remember that gratitude is a choice. And true success begins with a thankful heart. And with that as your foundation, it's going to be hard not to break through to your next big breakthrough. This concludes part 1 of our 2-part series. Please stay tuned after this brief 3-second intermission for part 2 in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so glad you decided to join us for part 2 of our 2-part series. And now, once again, I want us to all get up out of our seat and stand on your feet. And don't worry, Ruben, we're not going to dance this time, but we're going to do a different exercise. We're going to do a little breathing exercise. So first watch me and then follow along. So we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose and allow our bellies or our diaphragms to expand. And then we're going to exhale out through our mouths as if we're Darth Vader trying to fog up a mirror. And we can relax our neck and our shoulders when we do that. Okay, so let's take a deep breath in through our nose. And out. Again. And out. Again. One more time. And relax. All right, go ahead and give yourself another high five and take a seat. Well done, everyone. You guys are great at breathing. Now, what we just did there is incredibly rare. We focused on our breathing. And the reason that's important to do is because focused breathing, even if done for just a few minutes a day, can radically reduce and dramatically decrease your overall level of stress, which leads to the next key ability, the ability to create an inviting environment. I call it breathability. In other words, it's the ability to create space and count each breath as significant, knowing that each breath has the power to break down barriers. Did you know it takes just one breath to muster up the courage to get out of bed in the morning? And it takes just one breath to make that very important phone call. And it takes just one breath to take that leap of faith and positively alter the course of your future forever. Can we take that one breath together right now? Allow this to be a milestone moment. See, if we're honest, I think it's safe to say that most of the time we focus on matters that don't actually matter. And when we focus on stuff that doesn't matter, when we extend energy focusing on stuff that doesn't matter, guess where it gets us? Nowhere. Coincidentally, when given space to stretch out and breathe, nowhere becomes now here, affectionately referring to the here and the now. See, this is where we want to be, intentionally immersed in the moment. See, regardless of your physical surroundings, an inviting environment begins from within, where worry isn't welcome and rush is removed. An inviting environment begins with your breath. Now, aside from when you're anxious and might be smelly, how often are you conscious of your breath? Better yet, how often are you in a hurry? Are you aware of how often hurry is a result of worry? See, once upon a time, there were these two lumberjacks competing to see who could cut down their tree the fastest. The first took hack after hack, never resting to sharpen his axe, for he feared that taking a break was willingly wasting time. The second saw divine wisdom in taking time to sharpen her axe, for she knew that time is only truly wasted when wielding a weapon without an edge. Guess which woodcutter finished fastest? And which woodcutter best describes you? I think we all fluctuate between the two, but how different do you think your life would be if you tended to do more like the second? So most days I take my dog for a jog. His name is Sherlock Bones. And one day during our jog, I thought to myself, why don't we just walk? Well, I thought the sooner it's done, the sooner I can move on to the next thing that needs to get done. What a horrible way to live. It was as if I was stuck in a self-imposed perpetual rush, and to live as such leaves little room to appreciate much, like the morning mist, or the squirrels playing, or the birds singing their songs. And so I slowed my pace and acknowledged that life is not a race. Instead of a jog, we went for a walk, and it was beautiful. I was able to breathe in the morning mist. I watched the squirrels play, and I heard the birds singing their songs. You see, we removed the rush so we could savor the simple, because in the end, it's the simple stuff that matters most. And I believe so many of us in this world, so many of us in this country, so many of us in this Zoom room right now could benefit so greatly if we just found a way to remove the rush so we could savor the simple. And to do so, we have to give ourselves rooms to breathe. That means we need to designate times and spaces throughout the day where we can relax and just focus on our breathing. And so I want to encourage you, if you're not already doing this, I want you to set an alarm on your phone to go off every 2 hours during the workday. And it doesn't have to be an audible alarm, it can be a silent vibration. But as soon as it goes off, I want you to step aside and for just 2 minutes, relax and focus on your breathing. For 2 minutes every 2 hours. That's 10 minutes a day. And again, it's because focused breathing radically reduces and dramatically decreases your overall level of stress. See, this is how we create an inviting environment, by bringing the here and the now with you wherever you go. And so rather than running around all day continuously trying to catch your breath, it's time that you realize it's yours for the taking. And when you become conscious of this, that's when life truly becomes breathtaking. And so remove the rush, begin savoring the simple, and take time to just breathe. Because if you do, I wholeheartedly believe you will break through to your next big breakthrough. Well, this has been so much fun. I would love to stay connected with each and every one of you here. And so if you're interested in learning more about the 7 key abilities, essentially it all comes down to cultivating, creating, and connecting. So cultivating a thankful heart, an empowered mind, and encouraging connections, so we can confidently create a clarified calendar and an inviting environment, so we can courageously connect with ongoing growth and a purpose-filled plan. And that's what I'm able and feel very grateful to be able to do, is to help corporations and organizations increase sales and employee engagement by creating that clarified calendar and that purpose-filled plan, so that we can enable ourselves to not only optimize each day, but actually enjoy the process along the way. And so if you're interested, I do have the book available on Amazon. It's called The 7 Key Abilities. I do also sell signed copies from myself. They're 15 bucks each. If you are interested in bulk copies, please let me know. I do offer bulk rate discounts. If you're not interested in the book, I also want to contribute to the world any way that I can. So I also have a YouTube channel. It's Jeff Teresi. I'll go ahead and put my info in the chat section during the Q&A now. And if you do know any corporations that could benefit from my services, please do keep me in mind. I feel extremely grateful and fortunate to do what I do, and I wouldn't be able to do it without amazing people like you. And so I want to be respectful of the 20 minutes of presenting, and then opening up for 10 minutes of question and answer if anyone has any questions.
I have a question. This is Ruben. First, I'm taking Lola to soccer practice, so I'll need to bail a little early. How did you get into this area, or how did you discover this area of practice, for lack of a better term?
Are you familiar with the product Cutco cutlery? It's a direct sales. I see that William looks like he's familiar with it. It's like the Rolex of kitchen knives. When I was 14, my mom got me a job as a telemarketer, and I hated it, but I became good at dealing with rejection. And so when I was 18, I started selling the knives, and it more than paid for my college. And then when I graduated, I was able to transition into corporate sales, where we sold Cutco and engraved it with logos, name, and sell for realtors and mortgage lenders. So it becomes a long-term branding tool. And so what ended up happening is I would go to the sales conferences and I'd see these motivational speakers, and I fell in love with what they were saying. And I thought, man, I would love to be able to do that someday. And as I was doing these sales presentations for dozens of real estate offices, they said, Jeff, we love what you have, but we don't want you to just do another sales pitch. We know that you're good at sales. Could you please create a talk and help us with sales as well? And so I created a talk, the top 10 tips to be top 10 in the nation. And it went over so well that I went to about 100 different real estate offices giving that talk. And then they wanted me to create another talk, which was the 7 key abilities to succeed. And that was a catalyst for the book that I created, which is now turned into a motivational keynote, which I'm also able to do deeper dives with workshops on creating clarified calendars and purpose-filled plan. And the purpose-filled plan is to ensure that our thoughts, words, actions, relationships, and pursuits are all in alignment to help us be our best selves in all areas of our lives.
Sure. And so the genesis of it was through a sales context, but now you've broadened it to like just basically self-improvement, self-empowerment, living a better life, even one might.
That would have been such a simplified answer I could have given you. I should have. It was in sales, and it just went. Yep, progressed.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
curious.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'm putting my phone number in here too, just in case anyone would like to contact me afterwards in the chat section. But yeah, thanks for asking, Ruben. If you want to get up and dance in front of us, I'm fine with that. I think Brandy's fine with that too. We just dance for 1 minute is all.
It would have to be nude, and that would be inappropriate. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate your honesty. So thank you for that. You guys are great. Anyone else have any questions? I would love to answer if you do.
I have one, but does anyone else have one for Brad? You're muted, so.
Oh, hey, Brad. Yes, Brad. What is?
I was
can
just going to ask you by chance if your customer was ever Will Cliver, because I saw his Cutco knife go by the screen a couple moments ago. So I don't know whether he was selling it or buying it.
He probably got it from a realtor.
Yeah, it's a spatula, and I've had that for 25 years now. So,
Oh, awesome.
I do have a question. What's the largest group of people you do this with? Like, what's the threshold before it becomes too many people?
So it depends on the venue, but as long as it's a controlled situation, it can be as large as possible. I would like to do stadiums if that's what you're thinking, William. I would be fine to, but no, yeah, a couple hundred people is very doable. But I like to have the smaller groups because then we can get into more participation like we did today. It's just we can't get into as many questions when we do stuff like that. And so, but yeah, that's a great question. 10 to 20 people is amazing, but as large as the group is, we can absolutely accommodate for that.
So my question is more.
Great question.
Now that I know that I saw that you're on YouTube. Have you explored Clubhouse with your Breakthrough Talk? So it's a new social media style app, and it's more like you host a room and people can ask you questions.
I have to write that down. I feel like I'm out of the loop right now, but Clubhouse.
I have an invite code, so I can invite you if you'd like, but I think it's a really good venue for speakers. And eventually the app is supposed to take into account a way to monetize for creators, like tipping, maybe ticketed events or something like that. So it seems like a good fit for your style of presenting.
Okay, yeah, definitely send me an invite. That sounds like a really cool platform.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
I've been kind of addicted. I sent invites to Dan and Armando. I don't know if they've used it yet.
Okay. Armando, you're so quiet this evening. You have a wise cadence to you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, great. I loved it. I thought maybe you would say something. I wanted to hear your voice. This is a fun group. Does anyone else have any questions? Oh, also, if at any time it seemed like I was loopy during this talk, it's because my wife gave birth to our baby just under 2 weeks ago, and I have never had less sleep in my life, but I've also never been happier. So I have noticed myself at times just like, where am I? I forget for a second. And so hopefully that didn't happen too much tonight.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
All right, I'll follow up on something. So how has the pandemic affected your understanding of how people can connect and can connect?
That's a great question. I've actually noticed a lot of people with the Zoom, they're connecting more than they would have, but I also have a lot of people that used to connect a whole lot more that aren't connecting. And so I think that it's extremely important to have a set of a couple people. Usually if I have more time, the next ability I go into is cultivating encouraging connections and making sure that we're very intentional about setting time with at least those few that are closest to you to both give and receive encouragement every single week. And so I encourage everyone to have at least 1 to 3 people. We have at least a half an hour set aside to review your wins, your losses, and the things you want to accomplish for that week. Because it's so important to not only give encouragement to others, but to actually be receiving it as well. And so, yeah, now more than ever, it's extremely important, especially with the pandemic.
Other questions from the group?
So what, I mean, you have the background in sales, but like what gave you the epiphany to these 7 strategies? Like,
Ooh. So I actually keep a gratitude journal that I've been doing for over 12 years now. And it's to the point where it's now a 5-year journal entry. So literally every single morning, I'll review the last 5 years of 3 things I'm grateful for. And at night, I go over a win, something I can learn from. And then I go over my gratitude and I review the last 2 years. And I made it a habit to also do creative writing for at least 30 minutes a day for several years. And so from that, I actually created a book called Good News for a Month, which was a devotional book that took a piece of God's word and then magnified it through a cubed poem. It's a specific style of poetry I developed, and then brought to life through an action step and a piece of good news for the day. And so that was not able to be marketed to the masses, such as corporations. And I really wanted to be able to be the grateful guy. And so I wanted to create a book called The Great Wall of Gratitude, but it didn't seem that it was as applicable to everyone. And so it just happened that when I was creating that second talk for the real estate companies, that those 7 key abilities that anyone can learn those skills and apply them to their lives, those are the things that changed my life the most. And so because I'm actually living what I'm talking about, I feel very confident in what I'm sharing with people. Now, I am also on the autism spectrum, so I like to have a caveat that a lot of people think that I have way too many rules and regulations, but I want to let them know that that's I've had so many people that it's helped, even though they're not on the spectrum. And so while I may experience things a little bit different than most people, what I love is that it is applicable and anyone can use it. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered that question very well, Dan, but.
No, that's okay. It was very interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what value did your degree at the Carlson School provide you in this mix?
That's a great question. So my grandpa and my dad both went to the Carlson School of Management. So I just felt like I should probably go there too. And I ended up sleeping during a lot of my classes because I did not find them very interesting. But I did graduate with a 3.9 grade point average and a BS in business. However, I don't apply it as much as I'd like to so that I could be on Shark Tank one day. But it has given me the skills to be able to network with other people and just make sure that you have work, you get it done. And, but yeah, so I like questions I haven't been asked before. I have not been asked that question yet, Brad, so thank you. But yes, it was a BS. And my focus was entrepreneurial studies and finance.
And Brad's an expert in BS, by the way.
Oh, nice. I love that joke. My wife is actually a speaker and she speaks out on sexual violence and advocates against that. And so we actually have a parent company called Life Beyond the Lies. And so I'm under that parent company by being able to say, mine is Life Beyond the Lies as far as a lie that you think that the success of the world. I believe true success is being able to consistently make choices that bring joy and meaning to your life and the lives of others. So it's not just about accomplishing a goal or achieving a dream. It's not a destination. It's a way of life.
All right. Well, I need to roll. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
See everyone.
Good seeing you, Rube.
Cool.
I haven't seen Ruben in forever. Well, this is my first time seeing. Goodbye, Ruben.
We haven't seen him. We didn't see him last week. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, everyone. If you do have any interest, please check out my website, jeffteresi.com, and then my phone number is in there, as well as my email address. I am extremely grateful for having been here today, and I hope you guys have an awesome rest of the night.
Yeah. Jeff, before you go, I know you get back to your newborn, but I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to speak with us. As a thanks, we are donating some vaccines in your name
Awesome.
to end polio. In case you don't know about Rotary's mission, we've been working on eradicating polio. And actually just last year, it was eradicated in Africa, and now it's just endemic in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So we really appreciate your time and,
That's so awesome.
Yeah, putting more good out in the world.
I love the purpose of Rotary Club. It's so amazing. And so I'm just so grateful to be here tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Hope you guys have a great rest of the night, and hope to talk with you guys in the near future.
Rotary.